Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are watching us from. This is Comfort Eyitayo, your regular host on the Connect with Comfort show. I welcome you highly to this show once again. I'm glad you are able to join us. Today, we shall be looking at an interesting topic, which I believe would be on everybody's mind when you are looking at personal growth or business growth. And the topic is, are you growing or shrinking? Are you growing or shrinking? This is sometimes what we do to re-examine whatever it is we are doing, either it is business or our personal growth. We need to constantly re-examine this question. This seemingly simple yet thought-provoking inquiry invites us to reflect upon the various dimensions of our lives, be it personal, professional, or even societal. In a world that is constantly evolving, where change is the only constant, it is vital for us to assess our trajectory and determine whether we are moving towards growth or finding ourselves caught in a cycle of decline. This question encourages us to explore the multitude of factors that contribute to our overall well-being, success, and fulfillment. In today's discussion, we will examine the indicators of growth and shrinkage in different areas of our lives. We will delve into the realms of personal development, career progression, even relationships, and the broader context of the world around us would also apply. By analyzing these aspects, we hope to gain insights into the factors that propel us forward or hold us back. While the concept of growth may initially evoke images of expansion, progress, and achievement, it is essential to recognize that growth is not always linear or easily measurable. Sometimes growth can emerge from unexpected places, and even setbacks can lead to valuable learning experiences, which can also further promote growth. Likewise, the notion of shrinking may involve concerns of decline or regression, but it can also be a catalyst for transformation and adaptation. As we explore this topic, I encourage you all to approach it with an open mind and a willingness to question your assumptions. Let us challenge ourselves to uncover the factors that contribute to our personal growth or shrinkage. By doing so, we may discover new perspectives, strategies, and inspiration that can guide us towards a path of continuous development. Once again, I extend my warmest welcome to each and every one of you. May this exploration into the question of growth or shrinkage ignites a spark within us to embrace change, pursue growth, and ultimately strive for a more fulfilling and purposeful existence. Please remain connected. We'll be right back to bring our guest of today to you. Thank you.
The first step before anybody else in the world believes it is you have to believe it. There's no reason to have a plan B because it distracts from plan A.
You don't try to build a wall. You don't set out to build a wall. You don't say, I'm going to build the biggest, baddest, greatest wall that's ever been built. You don't start there. You say, I'm going to lay this brick as perfectly as a brick can be laid. And you do that every single day. And soon you have a wall. And soon you have a wall.
I've never really viewed myself as particularly talented. Where I excel is ridiculous, sickening work ethic. You know, while the other guy's sleeping, I'm working. While the other guy's eating, I'm working.
The separation of talent and skill is one of the greatest misunderstood concepts for people who are trying to excel, who have dreams, that want to do things. Talent you have naturally. Skill is only developed by hours and hours and hours of beating on your craft. There's no easy way around it. No matter how talented you are, your talent is going to fail you if you're not skilled. You know, if you don't study, if you don't work really hard and dedicate yourself to being better every single day, you'll never be able to communicate with people, with your artistry, the way that you want. So
make a choice, right? You just decide what it's going to be, who you're going to be, how you're going to do it. Just decide. And then from that point, the universe is going to get out your way.
Confucius said one time, he who says he can and he who says he can't are both usually right. This is what I believe, and I'm willing to die for it. Yeah. Period.
Welcome back. Sorry for that small push. You are welcome back. It's the segment where we introduced our guest for today's topic. Our guest is no stranger to us. He has been on our show before. And you see, he is in the person of Mr. Peter Eze. Mr. Peter Eze is a credible, respected, and sought-after management consultant. Is a fast sought-after business executive coach, independent project manager, and practitioner in the field of data to decision framework activation. He has been involved in so many things, including growing the data business community, that popular Daystar Business Academy, over a space of 12 years on voluntary basis. Talk of giving back to community. He provided to them enterprise development training and support to over 18,000 people. So you can imagine the reach of our guest today. Peter has been entrusted by organizations like Diamond Bank, BTS Energy, Fonbel Diagnostic, Stratagem Energy Management Company, to name but a few. And he has been involved in training sessions on negotiation skills, marketing, service management, leadership, workforce productivity, as well as corporate retreats across sectors. Peter Eze is a certified executive life coach. He is a growth consultant who supports organizations and business owners to build fast-growing and profitable institutions in the digital age by instituting systems and technology-driven operations. He has been and continue to get engaged as conference speakers, project managers in areas such as growing your business, leading the future, road to profits, living the technology life, employee engagement, power and business of data, turning a misfit into managers strategy, marketing, and market development. We can go on. I just have to abbreviate this very long CV, packed powerfully with so many experiences of our guests today. Please join me in welcoming my distinguished guest to this show, Peter Eze. Peter, you are welcome. We appreciate you. We thank you for your continued support for this show, allowing our audience to share and benefit from your great experience. We appreciate you very much. You are welcome.
Thank you very much, man. Thanks.
Thank you. So without much ado, we just fire on straight. Looking first and foremost, how can we identify an increase or decrease in usage or popularity? Because we are talking of both personal growth. When we are talking of if you are increasing or shrinking, it can apply to personal growth, it can apply for businesses.
All right, thank you very much. I would like to thank the organizers and the initiator of this great event, Connect with Comfort. Thank you so much, Ma, for having me again. I don't take that privilege for granted. And to our audience and everyone listening, thank you for connecting this evening and for giving one of the most important currencies that we have post-COVID, which is the currency of attention. Anyone you give attention to, it's a lot of money. All right. So the question, how do you identify an increase or decrease in usage or popularity? I would say simply data. If you have been in touch, if you have been, if you've been very close to your data, which is exactly like they said, the new oil. If your data has been driving your decisions, then your data would have been telling you that your data would have been revealing certain matrices, your revenue, your profitability, your cash flow, and I'm saying this in the context of the business owner. So if you are constantly measuring success, it's easy for you to, and when I say measuring success, which I mean measuring, interpreting growth from the context of setting, matrices, like I said, revenue growth, market share, customer satisfaction, feedback, number of hits, number of questions or DMs that you get, number of times that people are negotiating, terms of payment. You will notice that, of course, by your cash flow, your bank account will tell you whether you're increasing or shrinking. Your profit margin and your profit margin and your turnover. I'm very particular about that. Sometimes you can be having a very high turnover with decreasing margin, right? You can, at other times, you can have a good margin, but your turnover is very low, which means you're not selling enough. If you're not having much sales, if you're not closing much deals, if you're not having enough transactions, that could also mean that there is a shrinkage. So I think these are the indicators. So I will say the matrices, your employee engagement, your social impact, all of these are matrices that can show, that can tell you, or that translate to you or indicates to you that there's an increase or there's a decrease in usage, customer usage, or decrease in popularity. If you are in the business that we are into, which is the business of capacity development, the moment you're not getting a lot of invites, you're not getting a lot of sales, people are not calling you, people are saying, oh, we saw this on Instagram, we saw this on Facebook, we saw this on YouTube, someone mentioned you at the conference. When all of these indicators are no longer there, it means that there is a decrease in usage of your product or service, or there's a decrease in popularity. Of course, your popularity will feed the consumer or customer usage, vice versa.
Thank you very much. Excuse me. I think this what you have explained also rub off on the next question, but there's still an aspect of it we need to address, and that is to say, how do you determine accurately if you are gaining or losing users or customers?
All right. So how do you determine accurately? I will, like I always do when I go in with my team to an organization to do a corporate transformation or to review their performance and see how we can increase their revenue growth. The first thing we do is to collect the data of their last 1, 2, 3 years of performance. Now, if it's a big corporate transformation, we will ask for 5 or 10 years. What that information, so we will analyze all your performance, your indices, the indices that matter to you, and of course the one that we think should matter to you. We will look at your income statement. We'll look at all of this for the past 5 or 10 years. We'll see the way you have grown in terms of your transactions count. You will see the way you have grown in terms of your customer base. So 5 years ago, you had 50 customers. Today, okay, maybe 4 years ago, you had 80 customers. 3 years ago, you had 200 customers. We will review all this. Then for each of those customers, we will now do a review of how many of them are redundant and how many of them are active. When last was this each customer patronage on your business? And then as we analyze it, we also look at the strength of each customer. We found situations where organizations have maybe a customer base of say 200, right? And they are doing probably, okay, let me just bring it down. Customer base of say 20. Let me put it like this, 20. And they are doing an annual turnover of say 5 or 10 million. Or let's even say 50 million. 20 customers, 50 million. But when we go down to analysis, we realize that out of the 20 customers, just 3 of them, out of this 50 million, 3 of them are giving you 25 million. So it already tells us that there's a key customer risk, that if anything happens to any of these 3 customers, they are actually the ones driving the business. Now, whilst on one hand it may look good, but it poses a great threat to the organization. So my answer to that is the thing that you are using to measure success. We'll begin to see, is there an increment? And where there is a decrease, what's the reason? Because again, shrinkage is not always an indication of failure. Sometimes organizations want to grow by getting lean. There's a lean model that has been developed. Organizations want to go lean because they want to increase their profit base. So they want to go lean. For them to go lean, they will need to shrink. Sometimes one of the reasons why you want to go lean is you want to bring in a certain kind of technology that will do the work of maybe 220 people. And that will require that you don't need a manpower of 80. You just need a manpower of, say, 30. So if we look at your employee data and we are seeing they have moved from 80 to 35 or 40, that may not be an indication of that. That shrinkage may not be a negative indicator. It may be a positive one. But after we've looked at all other indices. So that answer is connected to different things. It's like the working of the engine of a car. You see the crankshaft is rolling. You can't effectively determine how effective that crankshaft is until you examine the other parts that are connected to it. So I would say revenue, I would say employee engagement, I would say your customer database, the ease of getting new customers. So if you've had 80 customers for the past 2 years, the first question I would ask is, how many customers did you acquire this year? So it could be that your customer retention is very good, but your customer acquisition is very weak. That's an indicator that there is a shrinkage, because if you have 80 customers, at some point there could be a fatigue. If there is a switch in the market taste, and I'm probably going to talk about, but I'll just mention it. For example, Blockbuster had these huge customers that were always coming to rent videos. But what Blockbusters didn't do very well was, they didn't see when the taste of the customers shifted. And so when the taste of the customers shifted to a more easier way of enjoying entertainment, Netflix entered into that space. And so sometimes not having new customers can be an indication of a negative shrinkage. I don't know if you have, I hope I've answered some part of the question.
Very well, very well. Now, how can you, excuse me, how would you actively seek new partnerships and collaborations to expand the reach of your new business, or scaling back on existing one, depending on what the data you have told us about is giving you?
Okay, so examine why do you want to bring in the partnership? What are you bringing on the table? Where are the gaps that you have? So if you identify,
for instance, if you notice that you are shrinking, it may be because you have not been able to expand in certain areas, and you may require collaborations and things like that, or partnership. So that's what that question is examining.
Okay. So find someone who is very strong, a partner who is very strong in that area that you are very weak, and who needs that area that you are very strong in to complement. Just find that. A friend, one of the person I'm coaching is into property development, and he got to a point where he realized, I do my development very well, but in terms of funding, I don't have that very strong funding now. So currently he's sourcing a partner who has the funds, who is interested in property development, but who doesn't want to go into property development. That's a very fantastic relationship. So you just find someone where that strength, someone who complements that area, that is causing the
competitive advantage. Okay. Thank you very much. Now, there's sometimes people think, if you notice shrinkage or your business is not growing as expected, perhaps you need to rejig your approach, and some even go to the extent of thinking of launching new products or services. So the question here is, do you really have to launch new products or services to capture new market opportunities? or discontinuing existing ones? If you notice any adverse, maybe shrinkage.
Yeah, well, I would call that innovation and self-disrupting what you're doing. So sometimes launching new products, the market might have gotten too used to what you have been offering. So sometimes throwing in something new into the bouquet can have a way of revitalizing the taste, refreshing the market. So I'll call that innovation. At some other time, if you realize that the product is something it has stagnated, the growth of that product has stagnated, be the one to disrupt it yourself. Bring in something else that disrupts what you are currently already doing or selling, another product that you have. That way, you are the one who has created that competition for yourself. You defeat your first self, and then your second self will come into operation. It's possible. You can actually do that as a business.
Thank you very much. When considering shrinkage, how or when should you determine to expand or reduce your workforce, depending on
Okay.
whichever scheme?
Well, I would say when technology has actively, okay, let me give you this practical example. I recently launched a product in the market called Crack It, where I do strategy on a live show. Now, prior to when I launched that, I needed some of the people I needed on my team. I needed someone to do content, develop content. No, copywriter. I needed a copywriter. I needed a videographer to do the recording, and I needed a video editing person, and then someone for the social media management. So that's like 4 different people, right? Somewhere along the line, Chat GPT came into the picture, and all of a sudden, Chat GPT, I don't need a copywriter any longer. In fact, I do very good copies these days with the assistance of Chat GPT. So AI has come to close that space. A friend who runs a digital agency, we were both seriously looking for a copywriter. He was looking for a copywriter, an account manager, a graphic designer, and there were like 5 or 6 persons that we were considering hiring because I work with this organization, a consulting organization. Today, he's just looking for 2 people. He has an application on AI that can do both graphics, copies. The only thing he needed was just a managing account, someone that the clients can call. Right now, that's all he's looking for. So where technology comes into place, it calls for the need to reduce human manpower so that you can, scale faster.
Okay, thank you very much. Now, we've heard several times you need to do research and all that. The question is, if you are to invest in research, is this necessary for every businesses to foster growth? That is, do you have to research and invest so much in research and development to foster growth in every business?
Okay, so market insight is very critical to foster growth for every business. Now, how you go about it can be very different. Now, if you have the resources, I will advise that there are some organizations that have done some organic research. I think LBS falls into that space in our environment, Lagos Business School, PwC. There are some ground research work they have done. Now, how relevant what they had before is to current day, I don't know, because Nigerian market as we speak has shifted. Now, if you have the budget, because I've had friends who said they paid for research and it paid off, because what research just does is market intelligence tells you, don't go in there. This is what government's next move will be. These are areas that foreign direct investment is coming into. So I would say those information, if you have the resources, please, by all means, it's a great investment. If you don't have the resources, you will just need to keep your ears open. Read the room, read the streets, hear what is happening, get close to the news, especially if you don't have the money. Read the government budgets. government is still the biggest spender, right? And find out, just listen out to what's happening. I think that's basically, yeah, quite important.
Thank you very much, Peter. We'll go on a very short break and come back. Please remain connected. We'll be right back.
These dry bones will rise again, 'cause the stone has been rolled away. At the touch of living water, yeah, yeah, this broken branch will live again. These fallen walls will be restored, says the Lord. So hear his voice as he calls, come forth, arise, come alive. It's not over till Jehovah says
You're welcome back. Thank you very much. Our next or venture capital funding comes in.
Sorry, I lost your network.
Did you get that?
No, I didn't get that. Please, can you say that again?
Okay. Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Can you hear me now?
Yes. Yes, please.
Okay. Okay. So I was just asking that when we are considering this question of growth or shrinkage, which place does fewer investors, or let's say venture capital funding or investors, come into play when we consider these two-sided?
Okay, so I would say at a point in your business, especially when you know that you're trading with a lot of you need a lot of capital to get things moving. Some people will say, okay, you know what, stay with debt, get debt from finance houses, banks, and all that. The challenge I will have with that is, if the funds you are getting is a short-term fund, they are short-term funds, but your project, like if you're in real estate development, you know that sometimes it takes up to 8 months, between 6 to 8 months to complete a property, and you probably give it another 6 months again to be able to sell off. So that's give or take, maybe 10 to 12 months. And no, 12, between, let me say 1 to 2 years. If you complete, let's say 30 or 50 units, it sometimes takes people up to 2 years to sell them off. So what's the point getting 6-month loan or one year loan? Because the problem is that the interest that will accrue on those kind of facilities could eat up your profits, right? At some point, when you know that you are doing a lot of volume but limited margin, I think for me, I would suggest consider equity investors. They are venture capitals that wouldn't mind bringing in their funds. They are not putting pressure on you, and they are giving you the next 5 to 10 years. Those kind of capital you need for highly capital intensive projects that have a long-term payback period. You need to consider that. But if you are doing a transaction that is almost like a trading, you buy, you sell, you collect your money, you can go for debt, right? You can go for debt. Just go get loans. And there are numerous loans, and there are finance houses that are willing to give you purchase orders, funds to finance your purchase orders. So that's where I'll put it.
Okay, thank you very much. So the nature of your business will determine the kind of funding you go for. That's
Absolutely.
very good. Yes. Now, when we are talking of growth or shrinkage, what impact can we factor in about the marketing or advertising efforts? So if we are talking of growth, the impact of marketing and advertising efforts, if we are talking of shrinkage. So what impact does
Okay, so the challenge, the temptation is that most times when we notice that we are having shrinkage, we want to slow down on marketing because there's no money to do marketing. But the irony is that it is the marketing that will bring the customers. So one of my my coaches, one of the clients I coach who is into development, we're having a session this morning and we're still discussing. Initially, I said he wanted to go and get loans, but this morning he said to me, Peter, I don't want to get loans. I'd rather put that effort and that investment in marketing, because if I get off takers for these properties, I'll be able to pay off this debt, because he has a lot of debt. So he didn't want to go and get another debt loan that will also increase his burden. So I think marketing is very important. At the point you are shrinking, put more effort on marketing. Unfortunately, human psychology, that's when we are tired, we are worn out, we are burnt out, and we don't.
Ditto for this issue also, when we are talking of growth or shrinkage, is it a good time to consider diversifying into new markets or remain focused on our core business? Because the temptation can be there that perhaps you need to change what you are doing or look at other areas.
This is what I would say. Keep it flexible. Consider diversification where it becomes imminent, because how do we know that it wasn't by staying focused on their business that got BlackBerry where they are today, when they should have pivoted into something else that was evolving? There was an Android world that was evolving. They didn't pay attention to it. So I would say, yes, diversification is okay to consider, but on top, at the back of diversification, it's a very robust and healthy risk assessment plan. You have to do your risk, assessment very well. Get someone to be sure that you all this risk associated in the new area, because diversifying also comes with its own risk on one hand. But I would say, while you are considering that, do your most on what you're currently good at, except that the market is shifting. If the market has moved, if technology and trend has left it behind, please diversify, pivot, and do it very fast.
Thank you very much. So we have to have a calculated risk before we take that step.
Absolutely.
Okay. Yeah. Now, in the same vein, we've been talking about technology, emerging technologies. How do you recommend adaptation to emerging technologies or trends to fuel growth, or falling behind the competition?
Wow. Interesting. Well, I would say to scale in our present day, technology is very, very important. Very important. Look for areas where you can scale your operations with technology. Look for things that you don't necessarily have to do brick and mortar. Ask yourself, if a technology, what are the things that technology can do? Just like I said, ChatGPT can generate copies and content. There's another one someone sent to me. I'm still exploring it. That feed it with the right info prompts, it will generate the image you want. So if you have all of that, the question is why burn a lot of your energy and sweat doing what technology can do without emotion, without getting tired, without feeling hungry? I think you should embrace technology with all your full chest. And to close out on that response, every business should be either technology enabled or technology driven. Every business.
Thank you very much. Fantastic. I'm
welcome.
sure our viewers have gained a lot from this great insight that you are giving us today. As usual, you have not let us down. You've even surpassed our expectations. I'm sure we are the one that are even trying to limit you, because for each question you want to go on and on and on. I was enjoying it, but time does not permit me to go on. I want to appreciate you highly, Peter, for granting us the indulgence to come back to you again. You have kept your promise. We did ask you last time that I hope you will not consider us Oliver Twist, and you have done excellently well, even at a very short notice. We appreciate you. We do not take you for granted at all, but because of your great impact and wealth of experience, that's why we keep calling. Thank you for these great insights. We are grateful. We'll go on a very, very short break right now and we'll be back. Please remain connected. You're welcome back. Thank you very much for staying tuned. Permit me to appreciate those that were able to join us today. I've noticed Tayo Olowola all the way from King's University. Thank you, ma'am. It's the registrar of King's University. Then Taiwo Ojo, as usual, our regular feature. Thank you for joining us today. I hope you have enjoyed the tips that have been given by our guest. Our guest has actually addressed so many points. In our recap, I'll just be very fast because of time. When we are looking at this topic, we should consider both the personal growth and business growth. You can shrink even on your personal growth just as well as the business growth. So it's important to look at the two perspectives, because you yourself need to grow before you can think of the growth of your business, in the sense that your knowledge had to be enriched, your skills had to be sharpened and all that before you can have the horizon of growing your business. So it's very important to look at personal growth as well as when you are looking at the business growth, so that we will have the mind to propel us into to growth. Then we need to look at the areas that have been pointed out to us in terms of the type of business we are handling. If we're looking at business growth, we've talked about advertising, place for advertisements. Even if we feel that business is going down, let us not start cutting the needed input to revive the business, which is through advertisement effort or marketing effort to revive the business. That has been explained to us very clearly. We also need to look at the value of professionalism if we are talking of personal growth in our career. We also have to examine the skills that we need to take us to the higher or next level. We discussed about shrinkage. Shrinkage sometimes, as it may sound negative, but sometimes it can be that impetus for us to wake up from our slumber. When you realize that you are not doing so well, either on your personal growth or your business growth, you now get reawakened to ginger up and do what you need to do to inject vitality into your business or to your own personal skill. So we can go on, but because of time is summarizing all is like saying that the question of whether you are growing or shrinking can be considered a complex and multifaceted one. Throughout our discussion, we have explored various aspects of this topic and considered different perspectives. While it is undeniably that it's not undeniable that we face challenges and uncertainties in our world today, it is important to recognize the growth and shrinkage are not mutually exclusive. We've told you how shrinkage can be that catalyst that you require to ginger you into action. We may experience contraction in certain areas such as the economy or the environment, while simultaneously witnessing growth in others, such as technological advancement or social progress. It is crucial for us to approach this question with a balanced viewpoint and consider both the positive and negative aspects of our current trajectory. It is true that we face pressing issues like political conflicts, climate change, social inequalities, and all. However, it is equally true that we have made significant strides, both in science, innovation, human rights, and technology. Rather than focusing solely on whether we are growing or shrinking, we should strive to identify the area where growth is necessary and work towards fostering positive change. This requires collective action, collaboration, and commitment to sustain our business. As individuals and a society, we have the power to shape our future. By embracing innovation, cultivating empathy, adopting sustainable practices, we can ensure that our growth is not only measured in economic terms, but also in the well-being of our environment and the inhabitants. In conclusion, let us remember that growth is not a linear process. It is a dynamic interplay of various factors, and it is up to us to determine its direction by harnessing our collective potential, working towards a more equitable and sustainable future. We can ensure that our growth is meaningful and beneficial for all. So I want to appreciate all our audience, online audience today. Thank you for joining us. Continue to reach out to us where you think you require help on any topic we have discussed or any topic of your choice. We will make sure that we give you quick response. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel, Comfort Eyitayo, and once you have done so, please turn the notification button, like and share our videos. Stay tuned for upcoming events, solutions, and other offers on my Instagram account at Comfort Eyitayo, as well as my Facebook account at Comfort Eyitayo. Till I come your way again, strive to identify the areas where growth is necessary and work towards fostering positive change in all your future endeavors. Thank you for watching. God bless.